Mara stood at the edge of the vast arena, her eyes scanning the strange alien structures surrounding her. Towering towers made of shimmering crystal and dark metal rose high into the sky, their surfaces reflecting the harsh sunlight of this distant planet. The air was thick with anticipation. Hundreds of beings, aliens from multiple worlds, watched silently, waiting for the trial to begin. Some whispered among themselves, while others simply stared, curious or doubtful of the lone human standing before them. They said this trial would shatter me, Mara thought quietly, a small smile forming on her lips. Let's see if it can. The Council of Elders, a group of ancient and wise aliens, stepped forward. Each one was different. Some had 4 arms, others had skin that glowed faintly, and one had eyes that seemed to look straight through her. They spoke in voices that echoed without sound, their words reaching Mara's mind directly. "You are human," one elder said. "You are fragile. You are weak. This trial will break your mind, your body, and your spirit. None before you have endured it unscathed. Do you still wish to proceed?" Mara did not hesitate. She straightened her shoulders and nodded. "I do," she replied. Her voice carried clearly across the arena. There was no fear, no doubt, only quiet confidence. The first stage of the trial began. The ground beneath her feet shifted suddenly, turning into a scorching desert. The temperature rose instantly, and the wind carried grains of red sand that cut her skin. She could see distant cliffs rising from the horizon, and strange shapes moving in the sand. Predators of this world, designed to test her survival instincts. Mara did not panic. She took a deep breath and began to move. Her feet sank slightly into the soft sand, but she adjusted her steps carefully. She scanned the environment for water sources, shade, and anything she could use as a tool or weapon. Her human mind, quick and inventive, began to notice patterns in the desert winds and the shifting shadows. Hours passed, and Mara faced her first real danger, a creature with 4 long legs and a hard, spiked shell. It moved faster than she expected, snapping at her with sharp mandibles. Instead of running blindly, Mara ducked behind a jagged rock formation. She picked up a long stick lying nearby and used it to create a distraction. The creature lunged at the wrong spot, giving her a chance to escape. Every step tested her endurance. Her skin burned from the heat, and small scratches from rocks and thorns began to mark her arms and legs. But Mara smiled through the pain. Each mark was a sign that she was still moving forward, still surviving. As the sun reached its peak, the terrain changed again. The desert gave way to a deep canyon filled with twisting paths and narrow bridges. A river of glowing liquid flowed below, a test of her courage and judgment. The council had designed this stage to challenge not just strength but careful thinking. One wrong move could mean falling into the dangerous river. Mara carefully studied the bridges. Some were weak, cracked, and barely holding together. Others were solid but required precise balance. She stepped lightly, testing each plank before committing her full weight. Her heart pounded, but she focused on every step, every movement. Slowly, she made her way across the canyon, never looking down, keeping her mind clear and calm. Night fell, but the trial did not stop. Strange, glowing plants lit the path ahead, casting eerie shadows. Alien predators prowled in the darkness, their eyes reflecting the faint light. Mara's mind had to work faster now. She needed to find shelter, food, and a safe place to rest. Using her human ingenuity, she found a small cave hidden behind a waterfall of glowing liquid. It was safe for the night, and she used her limited resources to create a small fire. She cleaned her minor cuts and inspected her body. Small scratches and burns covered her skin, but she traced them with her fingers and smiled. "These are my scars," she whispered to herself. "They don't break me, they show that I survived." The night was long. Mara had to remain alert. The sounds of the alien wilderness were constant. The distant roar of beasts, the whispering winds, and the shifting of rocks. Sleep came only in short bursts, and each time she woke, she adjusted her plan for the next day. When morning arrived, the arena had changed again. Mara now faced a new challenge, a biomechanical guardian, a machine designed to test her strength and strategy. It had moving limbs, sharp edges, and sensors that detected the slightest movement. Most candidates would try to fight it head-on, but Mara studied its patterns. She noticed that it paused for a brief moment after every strike, giving her a small window of opportunity. Using her environment once again, she lured the guardian into a trap among the rocky cliffs. She dodged, rolled, and used her makeshift tools to disable one of its sensors. Sparks flew and the creature faltered. Mara moved carefully, avoiding direct contact until the Guardian finally powered down. She stood there, breathing heavily with minor scratches and burns covering her arms and legs, but her smile remained. The Council of Elders watched in silence. Whispers passed among them. Humans had never displayed this combination of resilience, intelligence, and courage. Mara had survived the first stage of the trial. She had endured the desert, the canyon, the night, and the Guardian. She had scars on her skin, but in them lay proof of her determination and skill. As she looked out over the alien structures, Mara felt a surge of confidence. The trial was only beginning. She knew the challenges ahead would be even harder, but she was ready. Every scar on her body reminded her that she could endure more than anyone expected. The second stage of the trial began at dawn. Mara stepped out of her temporary shelter, her skin still marked with scratches and burns from the first stage. Every scar told a story of survival, and she traced them briefly with her fingers, feeling a quiet pride. She had survived the impossible before. Now the challenges would be even tougher. This stage was designed to test both her mind and her courage. The terrain shifted again, turning into a dense alien forest filled with towering trees whose leaves glowed faintly in shades of blue and green. Strange vines moved almost like living ropes, curling and twisting as if they could grab anything that came near. Sounds of unknown creatures echoed from the shadows. Mara could see eyes reflecting faint light, watching her every move. Her first challenge was not physical. Holographic projections appeared in front of her, showing loved ones in danger. Mara froze for a moment, her heart tightening as the images flickered and shifted. The projections spoke, begging her for help, warning her of failure, trying to scare her into despair. Most humans might have panicked, but Mara took a deep breath. She reminded herself that these were illusions designed to test her resolve. "I control my mind," she whispered. "I will not be broken." Using careful observation, she noticed patterns in the projections. Each one appeared for only a few seconds, then faded and returned elsewhere. Mara realized she could use this to her advantage. By predicting their appearances, she avoided traps and found safe paths through the forest. Her human intuition and quick thinking became her greatest weapons. As she moved deeper into the forest, Mara faced the next test, a series of physical obstacles designed to push her endurance. Narrow cliffs jutted from the ground. Vines formed swinging bridges, and rivers of glowing liquid blocked her path. She climbed, jumped, and balanced with careful precision. Her muscles ached, her skin stung from scratches and cuts, but she refused to slow down. Each step forward strengthened her resolve. Suddenly, an alien predator lunged from the shadows. It had multiple limbs and eyes all over its head. Most candidates would have panicked, but Mara had learned from the desert and canyon stages. She dodged quickly, using a fallen branch to block its sharp claws. The creature hissed and lunged again, but Mara led it into a trap she had noticed earlier, a pit covered with leaves and vines. The predator fell, trapped but unharmed. Mara didn't celebrate. She kept moving, aware that the trial was far from over. The forest became darker and more twisted. Strange plants released spores that caused mild hallucinations, making Mara see paths that weren't real. She stumbled, fell, and got scratched by vines, but she focused her mind. She reminded herself of her training and her previous experiences. Step by step, she navigated through the illusions, each scar she earned marking a lesson learned and a challenge overcome. Hours later, she reached a clearing where the final test of this stage awaited. A massive alien combatant stood in her path. It was armored and enormous, with glowing eyes that scanned her movements. The trial demanded not just strength, but strategy. Mara observed carefully. She noticed the rhythm in the creature's attacks. Every time it swung its arm, it left an opening for a brief moment. Using her environment, Mara created distractions. She rolled behind rocks, used broken branches as weapons, and leveraged the terrain to her advantage. The creature's attacks left marks on her skin, scratches, bruises, and burns, but she refused to yield. Her determination was stronger than the pain. After a tense battle of agility and strategy, Mara finally forced the creature to retreat into the forest, giving her a clear path forward. By now, Mara's body bore the evidence of her trials. Cuts and burns covered her arms and legs, and her clothes were torn in several places. Yet her spirit remained unbroken. She paused for a moment, looking at her reflection in a small pool of water. The scars on her skin were visible in the moonlight. Instead of fear or shame, Mara felt pride. Every mark was proof of her strength, her adaptability, and her refusal to give in. The council of elders observed her from afar, communicating silently among themselves. Whispers of admiration and surprise passed between them. They had expected a human to falter under these pressures. Yet here she was, moving forward with scars on her skin and a grin on her face. Mara had already surpassed their expectations. Night fell again, and Mara found herself alone in a dense part of the forest. Sounds of nocturnal creatures surrounded her, but she remained alert. She fashioned a small shelter using branches and leaves and tended to her wounds. Her body was tired, but her mind remained sharp. She thought about the final stage of the trial, knowing it would test her mind and heart even more than her body. As she rested briefly, Mara reflected on what she had learned. Fear was a tool, not a master. Pain was a teacher, not a punishment. Every obstacle, every creature, and every illusion had been an opportunity to grow stronger. She smiled softly to herself, the scars on her skin catching the dim light. "I am not broken," she whispered. "I am learning, and I will survive." Before sleep claimed her fully, Mara prepared for the final stage. She reviewed her experiences, her strategies, and the lessons of endurance, courage, and cleverness. She knew the last challenge would demand everything she had, her body, her mind, and her spirit. But she welcomed it. For Mara, being human was not a weakness. It was a source of strength unlike any the Council had ever seen. As the alien forest slept around her, Mara's grin remained. She was a human in a world designed to test limits. She bore scars, but they were not signs of defeat. They were symbols of resilience. And when the final stage came, she would face it the same way she had faced all the others, with courage, ingenuity, and a spirit that could not be shattered. The final stage of the trial awaited Mara at the break of dawn. She stepped forward, her body still marked with scratches, burns, and bruises from the earlier stages. Each scar was a reminder of her survival, a proof that no challenge could truly break her. Her grin returned naturally, unshaken by the rumors of the stage's intensity. The arena had transformed. The air shimmered with a strange, silvery light, and the ground seemed to ripple underfoot. A deep hum filled the area, vibrating through her bones. The elders' voices echoed in her mind, warning her that this stage would test not just her body, but her mind and her spirit. Mara entered a vast chamber. The walls were covered with smooth, reflective panels that created countless illusions. The chamber projected her deepest fears, her doubts and moments from her past that had haunted her. Voices whispered that she would fail, that she was too weak to survive. Images of failure, of friends in danger, and of herself falling and unable to rise flickered across the mirrors. For a moment, Mara paused. Her heart raced and her body tensed, but she remembered the lessons of the desert, the canyon, and the forest. Fear was not her master. Pain and doubt were challenges to be overcome. She closed her eyes for a brief moment and focused on her breathing. Then she opened her eyes and stepped forward, determined to face everything. The first illusion was a vast chasm, impossibly wide, with a flickering bridge that seemed to vanish when she looked directly at it. Other candidates might have frozen in fear, but Mara studied it carefully. She noticed patterns in the flicker, moments when the bridge appeared solid. She timed her steps precisely, moving steadily across. One misstep would have sent her plummeting, but her human determination and keen observation guided her safely to the other side. Next, the chamber transformed again. The walls displayed the faces of her loved ones, pleading for her to turn back, to give up. Mara felt a tug at her heart, but she reminded herself that the images were illusions. "I control my mind," she whispered. "I will not be broken by false fears." She realized the illusions were not random. They followed patterns. By studying the timing and repetition, she could predict the projections and avoid distractions. With each step, Mara moved confidently, her scars and burns a map of past lessons, reminding her of the strength she had gained. Then came the final physical challenge. A massive alien creature emerged from the shadows. It was taller than any human, with glowing limbs and razor-sharp edges. Its eyes tracked her movements, and it moved with frightening speed. Most candidates would have tried to fight directly, but Mara used what she had learned. She dodged, rolled, and used the reflections on the chamber walls to confuse the creature. Every strike left her with more scratches and bruises, but she never faltered. Mara studied the creature carefully. She noticed its pattern. After every 2 strikes, it paused briefly. That pause was all she needed. Timing her movements perfectly, she led the creature into a corner where the reflective panels trapped it in a confusing loop of mirrors. The creature lashed out blindly, unable to find her. Finally, it retreated, leaving her unchallenged. Her body was exhausted, her skin marked with fresh scars from the encounter, but her spirit was stronger than ever. She had faced every test, mental, physical, and emotional, and emerged victorious. The chamber changed once more, becoming a calm, open space bathed in soft, golden light. The illusions faded, leaving Mara standing alone, battered but triumphant. She took a deep breath and looked down at her arms and legs. Every scar, every cut, every burn was a symbol of resilience. She traced them with her fingers and smiled. The council of elders appeared before her, silent at first. Then one spoke, their voice echoing in her mind. "Human, we expected weakness. We expected failure. Yet you stand before us unbroken. Your spirit, your mind, and your courage are unlike anything we have ever witnessed." Mara nodded, her grin unwavering. "I am human," she said simply. "And humans are stronger than you think." The elders exchanged silent glances. They had underestimated her kind, but they could not deny what they had seen. This human had survived every stage of a trial designed to shatter beings far stronger and older than herself. She had endured pain, fear, and doubt, and she had come out grinning, marked with scars that proved her strength. Other candidates, alien and human alike, gathered around. Some looked in awe, some in disbelief. Mara's journey had shown them something extraordinary, the human ability to endure, adapt, and overcome. Her scars were not weaknesses. They were proof of what a human could achieve when determination and ingenuity guided every action. Mara turned and looked at the horizon, thinking about the challenges she had faced and the lessons she had learned. The desert had taught her resourcefulness. The canyon had tested her balance and courage. The forest had trained her mind and instincts, and the chamber had proven her heart and spirit. She had survived all of it, stronger and wiser than before. As she walked out of the arena, the sun rising behind the alien towers, Mara felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. She had not just survived the trial, she had mastered it. Her scars were visible in the morning light, each one telling a story of resilience, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit. The elders spoke again, this time with a tone of respect. "You have passed the trial, human. You are a symbol of strength, intelligence, and courage. Let your story be remembered across the stars." Mara smiled, her eyes shining with triumph. "I am proud to be human," she said softly, almost to herself. "And I will continue to show the universe what we are capable of." With that, Mara stepped forward into the world beyond the arena. Her journey through the trial had left scars on her skin, but it had also strengthened her spirit. She was a survivor, a thinker, a fighter, and a symbol of human resilience. Wherever she went next, she knew that no challenge, no matter how impossible, could truly shatter her. And as she walked, grinning with the marks of her journey, the aliens and humans alike understood that this human had achieved something extraordinary. The trial had been meant to break her, but instead, it had revealed the true strength of humanity, a strength that could not be measured by size, speed, or technology, but by courage, ingenuity, and an unyielding spirit. Mara's story would be remembered. Her scars would be seen not as signs of weakness, but as symbols of victory. She had faced the impossible and walked out grinning, proving that humanity's greatest power lay not in what it could destroy, but in what it could endure and overcome.